Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. In this session, we'll be discussing from the 35th verse of the 8th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, continuing the prayers by Queen Kunti. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma bihi shravana smaranarhani karishyaniti kechana. The meaning of this verse is, and yet others say that you appeared to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. So, Krishna appears for different purposes, and he simultaneously fulfills all the purposes when he appears in an incarnation. That's the greatness of his appearance. So, Queen Kunti, being a pure devotee, is very well aware that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his appearance is very, very purposeful. So in this verse, she is saying that Krishna has also appeared for rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, etc. And why he has to revive that? Because the conditioned souls means all those who are under the stringent laws of karma, they are suffering from material pangs simply because they are always engaged in some material activities and they get bound up and they suffer. So such conditioned souls should take advantage of the process of devotional service and thereby very easily gain liberation from this material bondage. So Krishna comes for this purpose also. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asserts that he appears in every millennium just to re-establish the way of religion. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Every millennium, every yuga, he appears. Because the materialistic way of life is such that after Krishna revives in one particular incarnation, gradually the religious principles deteriorate in human society. Then again Krishna comes in another incarnation. Again he rejuvenates the religious principles. Again it starts deteriorating. So, periodically Krishna incarnates for this purpose. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains, the way of religion is made by the Supreme Lord. No one can manufacture a new path of religion as is the fashion for certain ambitious persons. In modern times, sometimes people say, "Oh, I have got my own way of practicing dharma." But that is not real dharma. That's not religion. That's not true religion. True religion is what is given by God, what is given by Krishna. The factual way of religion is to accept the Lord as a supreme authority and thus render service unto Him in spontaneous love. This is the perfect understanding of religion. That Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everyone should render loving devotional service to Krishna. That is the real religious principle. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains here, a living being, any living being, cannot help but render service because he is constitutionally made for that purpose. We are made for doing service eternally. That's the only function, to render service. But we are meant to serve Krishna. If we don't serve Krishna, then we are forced to serve illusory energy, Maya. Servant we are. We cannot avoid rendering service. So, it's explained here. The only function of the living being is to render service to the Lord, to Lord Krishna. The Lord is great and living beings are subordinate to Him. Everyone is subordinate to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So everyone's duty is simply to serve Krishna. Unfortunately, the illusioned living beings, out of misunderstanding only, become servants of the senses by material desire. We all have material desires, and these material desires dictate that we become servant of our senses. We think we are master in this material world, generally, under the influence of illusion. But in reality, nobody is master. Krishna is the only master. Krishna is the only Lord. Krishna is the only controller. But others have a illusory idea that I am controller, I am master, I am the enjoyer. And in such a false conception, they become servants of the senses. They simply chase their material desires. And that is never to be fulfilled. It is called durashaya. Durashaya. Never to be satisfied. Never. Though sometimes people think by my hard work, I have successfully worked for satisfying some material desire of mine and I have become successful. But that success is another facet of the illusion only. Both failure and success are illusion because we have nothing to do with this material world. We have nothing to do with this material. So, we become under illusion servant of our own senses. Now, this desire, material desire, is called avidya, nescience. Now, only because of this nescience or avidya or material desires, the living beings make different plans for material enjoyment. Material enjoyment, there are so many plans made by different living beings. the plan for material enjoyment is centered about a perverted sex life. Sex life by itself is not condemned in the scriptures. It's got a higher purpose. To produce Krishna conscious progeny, Krishna conscious children. But perverted sex life simply meant for some so-called enjoyment, which actually is totally illusory. Therefore, a person becomes entangled in the chain of birth and death by transmigrating into different bodies. We should understand this word transmigration. Transmigration means I am leaving one body and entering another body while I am not aware that I have changed my body. I am existing through the changes, but I am not aware of that. That's why it's called transmigration. Migration, you understand. Just say a person migrates from India to America. He leaves India and he goes to America. Say migrated to America. Actually, a similar thing happens when we die. Death is not the end of our existence. Death means we migrate from this body to another body, new body. But because that change happens without our knowledge, without our understanding, it's called transmigration. Transmigration. And actually life is continuous through the changes of the body. Just like we change body from childhood to youth to old age. Do we think that we are a different person from childhood to youth when the change happens? No. I am quite aware I am the same person. I had the body of a child. Now I have a body of a young man when I become youthful, when I go to the youthful stage. So I don't think that I'm a different person. But what happens when we quit this body at a time of death and enter another body? Mostly in most cases, person forgets about the previous life. That is one thing. Second thing, in that next body, a person thinks, I have come into existence when I was born, which is a mistake, which is a incorrect understanding. So, in the chain of birth and death, by transmigrating to different bodies on different planets, this happens under the direction of the Supreme Lord. He is completely in control, the Supreme Lord. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, unless one is beyond the boundary of this nescience or ignorance or misunderstanding, misconception, one cannot get free from the threefold miseries of material life. One cannot get free. The threefold miseries will be there in material existence, even if we change bodies. Miseries are not going to vanish. So therefore, the conclusion is that if we understand and take to devotional service, which Krishna actually every time appears in every yuga, and he revives the real religious principles in human society, dharma samsthapanartha. And we should take advantage of that. Krishna is doing it for our sake. It's not for his benefit. It's for our benefit. So those who are accepting this path of devotional service, they are very, very fortunate souls. And they can solve this problem of repetition of birth and death by practicing bhakti and becoming liberated. Ultimate liberation is possible by bhakti. Go back to Godhead, never to return again to this miserable material world. Thank you. Hare Krishna.